Welcome, football fans. Buckle up for another hard-hitting episode of Player 54 Podcast, a show focused solely on the XFL. From a sunny Southwest Florida studio, here's your host, Michael Lathrop.
Hello, football fans. This is episode 50. Brace yourself. Team names are coming. This episode is brought to you by our friends at Royal Retros by 503 Sports. Royal Retros are the king of throwbacks. Royal Retros by 503 Sports provides a line of merchandise from legendary defunct leagues such as the XFL 1.0. If you have always wanted to get yourself a quality Las Vegas Outlaws He Hate Me or Los Angeles Extreme Tommy Maddox jersey, perhaps even an OG XFL's team's t-shirt, we have you covered. Simply click on the link provided in the show's description and notes and enter the code LETSTALKXFL at checkout to receive 10% off your purchase. This week, we have several XFL developments to cover. In addition, later in the show, I will be joined by running back Shane Simpson to discuss his football journey and XFL Draft Invitation. But first, we have those developments to cover. So, let's get to it.
Did you hear the news? Did you hear the news?
On October 24th, the XFL Communications Department released a list of quarterbacks being evaluated at an upcoming Jordan Palmer minicamp. Caleb Elby from Western Michigan University, Garrett Garantano from Tennessee and Washington State, De'Ara King from Houston and the University of Miami, Jalen McClellan from NC State and Baylor, Cole McDonald from Hawaii, Steven Montez from Colorado, Jawan Pass from Louisville and Prairie View A&M, Anthony Russo from Temple and Michigan State, Brian Scott from Occidental College, Brandon Silvers from Troy, Carson Strong from Nevada, Khalil Tate from Arizona, and Ryan Willis from Virginia Tech. Then, on October 26th, two more XFL town halls made the rounds of social media platforms. The following town halls are Arlington on November 1st from 6 to 8 p.m. and Houston on November 8th from 6 to 8 p.m. Then, on October 30th, the XFL announced its team names and logos will be unveiled on October 31st, beginning at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time via league channels. Finally, we will get the much-anticipated news, which is a nice Halloween treat for the XFL fanbase. As I have previously mentioned, I will now be joined by running back Shane Simpson to discuss his football journey and XFL Draft Invitation. Welcome, Shane. I appreciate you taking the time to join the show to discuss your football journey and XFL Draft Invitation.
I appreciate you having me.
It's a pleasure. You played your collegiate ball at Division I Towson University and the University of Virginia. Can you walk us through your recruitment and your football experience?
Yeah, so coming out of high school, I was under-recruited for the most part. Then I had once my recruitment process up my senior year, like going into my senior year of high school, I had pretty much all the CAA schools. I had about three to four FBS schools, but ultimately, obviously, I chose Towson. I just felt like it was meant for me to be here. And also I did my research because I didn't know too much about Towson coming out of school. And they had a real good stable of running back history, so that intrigued me. And then especially me playing special teams, kick return, punt return, I know I can make an impact on the offensive side and the special team side of things. And then obviously once COVID hit with the season coming to an end, in 2020 before it started. And when I was at Towson, I decided to enter the transfer portal. Right away, I got big time offers from like University of Virginia, Texas, Penn State, Pitt, Northwestern, Florida State, but Western Kentucky, like the list goes on. But ultimately, I did choose University of Virginia. And out of my college career, I'm glad I chose these two schools.
How much of an adjustment was it for you leaving Towson and moving to a Power 5 school?
Not at all. It wasn't even a big change. Like I say all the time, football is football at the end of the day. I played against Power 5 schools when I was at Towson. Pretty much the only difference you can really tell are the guys that put their hand in the dirt. Those are probably the biggest changes from each division. Then maybe the signal caller, maybe. Then everything else, you're gonna have playmakers at everywhere. So it really wasn't a big adjustment, especially like for myself. I knew I could have went Power 5 or FBS out of high school because I did have the offers, but ultimately decided where I picked Towson because that's why I felt like God was calling me like to come to Towson.
So players aside, was there significant differences in the program themselves, like with coaches or just the athletic departments? Obviously, we know facilities are probably significantly different with Power 5 schools probably throwing a lot more money at their facilities. But was there any major adjustments in that way or not really?
Actually, yes. When I was at Towson, I went through about 4 to 5 running back coaches in itself. So there was always something new for me. So I really never got a grasp of like a running back coach. But I'm thankful for all of them just because they all had different coaching methods. So I learned something new from each coach. So I'm appreciative of that. Then I'm a football junkie. So like I'm always in the film room, either by myself or running back coach, the head coach, special teams coach. I just want to ask questions or even put my input. Like, hey, I'm on special teams. I know their two is coming. Like their two on kickoff is a speed guy, and he loves to crash down. Maybe we can do like a bounce or something like that, or a counter return. And then running back is pretty simple. Just knowing, I always wanted to know the more advanced stuff, what makes my job easier once I know everything else. But going back to the question with coaching staffs, yes. When I went to Virginia, it was a Mormon coaching staff, so we didn't have anything on Sundays, and I was used to having stuff on Sundays. So I'm not complaining because Sundays off was amazing. Then the way we ran that program at University of Virginia, it was an earned, not given mentality. That was our motto. First, we had to earn literally everything. So like during camp, you have guys that just have their last names on their jersey. And then towards the end of the first week of camp, whoever did their thing throughout that camp, throughout that first week, would get to pick select their jersey. And then you get this feeling like you really accomplished something, like you weren't just given a number like you're traditionally used to. So that was a big adjustment for me because I'm just like, I really got to earn my jersey coming into my, like, what was my 6th year? Yeah. 6th year, I was like the oldest on the team. So I'm just like, all right. And I was coming off surgery as well. So it was definitely different, but just learning 2 different sides of like coaching staffs, it was really cool.
I think you were a little bit modest in talking about your career here. So I'm going to talk about some of your accolades here for a second. I'm going to list them off, right? So if you don't mind, we'll go through and read these for our listeners, right? Just so they get an understanding of who you are. I think it's important. So back in 2016, all CAA first team, CAA Offensive Rookie of the Year, ECAC Offensive Rookie of the Year, Hero Sports First Team Freshman All-American, Stats Third Team All-American, 2017 preseason All-CAA Kick Returner, 2018 3-time All-CAA First Team Running Back, Second Team Kick Returner, Third Team Punt Returner, CAA Special Teams Player of the Year, Stats FCS All-American Second Team All-Purpose, Athens Sports FCS All-American First Team All-Purpose, Hero Sports FCS All-American First Team All-Purpose, AFCA FCS Coaches All-American First Team All-Purpose, Associated Press All-American First Team All-Purpose, 2019 CAA Preseason All-Conference Team, Stats Preseason All-American, and the Walter Payton Award Watch List. Did I miss any?
Yeah, actually, they did. In 2018, I got All-American for all-purpose player, running back, and kick return, being a kick returner as well. So I had like the three right there. Then I was a finalist for the Jerry Rice Award, which is like the nation's top freshman in 2016, I think it was. And then the Senior Bowl watch list, I was on for top 250. But that's it, though, after that.
you're fairly humble because you didn't get into how good. I get it. That's respectable. But I think it's very important to share. You had a pretty good collegiate career.
Yeah, it's definitely like you just said, I'm really humble about it just because that's what I expected out of myself. Like I always write my goals down, especially before the season starts. I hang it up either on my ceiling or on a whiteboard, and just want to make sure I check off everything after the year is done. And my biggest thing going into college was like, don't have any regrets, and I don't at all. Like I literally hit all my accomplishments I set out for myself going into college. The only thing I still get mad about to this day probably is I didn't get the Offensive Player of the Year award in 2019 just due to the fact that I tore my knee that season. So that's probably the only thing that I can really think of. Like I played Division I ball. I was blessed to have the opportunity to play at two great universities on full scholarship. My parents didn't have to worry about paying for me, so that was a big thing for me because that was a promise that I made to my parents. So I'm glad I fulfilled that. Then I got to play Power 5 football that I always envisioned, and it made a difference there as well. So I really like my college career, and then also ended with 5,700 yards all purpose. So that's a lot of yardage. So I'm really thankful.
I wasn't going to try to get into all the statistics. I'm like, I think the honors speak for themselves, right? So I'm like, well, if he's not going to mention any of these, let me mention these. So I made sure I had the list in front of me because I'm like, you never know with a player. Some people are very humble and they're not going to really kind of toot that horn or step on that soapbox. So I'm like, well, this is very important to the career that you had. So I wanted to share it. So can you take a moment and just share with us what those honors mean to you?
Yeah, they mean a whole lot, to be honest, because you guys don't know my story. I went through a lot of adversity just from a lot of injuries, freak injuries at that, because I tore both my shoulders. I broke my ankle in high school. I tore my right knee, ACL, MCL in 2019. I had, since I was 14 or so, I lost 5 to 8 of my close friends. So it was a whole bunch of stuff that went on since I got into college. So just having all those distractions, that adversity, and still find the will to have the college career that I had is just amazing. It's a blessing. I'm thankful for God putting me through those situations. Yeah, people probably think I'm crazy for saying that, but I'm a big believer of God. Everything happens for a reason, and God gives his toughest soldiers the toughest battles. And I just want to be a walking testament about that.
So I don't usually get into faith, right? And I would try to go down the road because, it's like politics and dinner, at the dinner table, religion at the dinner table. Just don't bring it up, right?
Yeah.
But my dad, I grew up on a farm, so my dad's a farmer. I'm blessed to have the background I do, and it doesn't matter where I came from; it's where I'm headed. Same with you, right? Any player, it doesn't matter where you came from; it's where you're headed. He always said, "I don't get any mountain put in front of me, no task too great that the Lord doesn't believe that I can handle." So it doesn't matter what I personally think. Amen, right? So it doesn't matter what I think. Man, I can't. I don't know why I'm in it. You're going through it for a reason. So I'm not here gonna preach or anything, but again, it was only put in front of you because you could handle it, you could achieve it, you could conquer it. So, and you're still going through it. So don't sweat it, right?
No doubt.
So to reel it back in, right? Let's get back to football.
Mm-hmm.
I understand you were a 2021 College Gridiron Showcase invitee. What was that experience like?
It was good. Obviously, it was definitely different just because of COVID aspect of it. Just be able to be there around different players, talk to all the NFL scouts. It was a huge thing, especially the 2020 from 2020 where you really couldn't even see anybody. So me being there was a blessing, and just to play football and just do stuff that I've been doing since I was 6 years old, it was like nothing. So it was really fun for me, just getting out in front of the NFL teams, NFL scouts, just talking to them, just doing regular stuff that I've been doing from catching the ball out the backfield, running routes, doing cutting drills, and anything else they wanted, really. So it was definitely a great week.
So obviously that helped segue because eventually, since leaving college, you had a stint with the Winnipeg Bombers of the Canadian Football League.
Mm.
Can you walk us through how this opportunity came about and what that experience was like?
Yeah, so I worked out for Winnipeg in early April, and it was in Texas, Dallas, Texas, and I just did everything I was supposed to when I worked out for them. I did kickoff returns, I did punt returns, caught out the backfield, doing wheel route seams, lined up in the slot, did some receiver stuff as well. Then I didn't lose a one-on-one at all. So I just made a really good impression. Then I talked to the GM, the assistant GM, all the coaches that were there for a while. And then the next day, they called me right before I was heading back to New Jersey on my flight. They called me probably like 8 a.m. or so and said, you're going to come up to we're going to sign you. I'm like, shoot, just send the paperwork. I'm ready. Then I had a few guys that actually played up there before, and they said like they have a nickname for us like Winter Peg, and I'm like, oh, it must get cold up there because I never even been to Canada for one, and then two, obviously never been to Winnipeg. Then I made sure I packed everything. I had my joggers, tights, sweatshirts, like I had the whole nine. I was good. Then I get up there. Definitely different from America. They like just going across just trying to get into Canada. Like once you're going through customs, they're so strict. Like they ask you at like every little thing. So I'm like, oh, they don't play up here. And then it gets like then I probably saw the sun. I was up there for like a month and a half to 2 months. I probably saw the sun 5 to 10 times. But but then like just going through the process of that, just playing pro football, really nothing different that I always approach football how I'm supposed to. Just it's a business. You gotta do what you gotta do. If you don't know anything, if you don't know the information they're giving, you're gonna get cut right away. So I just made sure I was in my playbook all the time. I was balling. Rookie camp was balling. Training camp I was balling. And then I forgot, there was the end of May. I've never been so cold in my life. It was snowing at practice during training camp. It was about 28 degrees, snow. Then it started hailing. Then the wind picked up. So I'm like, oh, this is Canada. And then I appreciated my time at Winnipeg. It came to the end. And then I signed with Montreal Alouettes after that. Then I came back to the States in July.
So that's a different brand of ball up there, right?
Definitely.
I know there's a little bit on ESPN2. I know on ESPN Plus. So I don't think a lot of people catch it. Maybe a lot of the hardcore football fans do. But 3-down ball, larger field. The goalpost is in the front of that. How does that change route running?
Oh, tremendously. For me, not so much unless I'm running a seam or a post out the backfield. But that doesn't really bother me as much. It's still a little weird when I was playing up there. But the thing that caught me was how big the field is. Like TV doesn't give it any, like TV does give it justice, but playing on the field, like in the States, the width of the field is 53 yards, and then in Canada is 65. Then 10-yard end zones in the States with the goalpost in the back, and then in Canada, goalpost in the front with a 20-yard end zone. So, and then all the different rules play into factor. So it was definitely weird, especially my offense getting used to the waggle motion. Just for the viewers that don't know, it's just you're able to move throughout the whole play, which was crazy to me at first. But you pick it up fast, and then the best thing about being a returner up there, you get a 5-yard halo in any direction, so you'll be able to catch a punt at all times and not be worried about getting hit like you would in the States. And you just play football after that.
One last question about the Canadian game.
Mhm.
All right, I try to understand it. Like I've been watching. I don't have a team that I follow, but I try to watch every once in a while. Right?
Mhm.
Can you explain the Rouge?
What's the roof?
Is that the 1 point? They call it like the Rouge or something like that.
Yeah. So that was confusing as well. So when the team is punting and it goes into the end zone, and the punt returner can pick it up or just leave it right there, and nobody can touch them besides the punter. The punter has to sprint down the field and try and recover it so they can get a touchdown. But say the returner picks it up, and obviously he has a halo around him, so he's not going to do too much. He just takes a knee, and there's just a 1 point. It's 1 point given to the kicking team, and then we'll still keep the ball, which I thought was weird. So that's like when I first saw a game like it was 1-0 at 1 point, I'm just like, how did that happen? Then obviously playing in it, I'm like, oh, there you go.
Right. It's just one of those things. I'm again. I didn't look it up. I've always been trying to figure out in the rule of play how does it exactly work.
Yeah.
Thank you. And anyone else is listening, hopefully you did know that. Maybe I was just the only ignorant one that did not. So, I'll take my my lumps where I have to. But coming back stateside, I understand you were invited to the XFL showcase for Washington D.C., but you were in Canada at that moment, right?
Yes, I was. I got invited. Personally, got invited to the one in DC, but I was in Montreal at the time.
You posted on your social media that you were trying to attend the Arizona or Texas showcases. Were you able to do so?
No, so as soon as I got back to the States, like as soon as I touched back down, I hit up Russ from the XFL and was like, I sent him an email and I had his number too. So I texted him and I emailed him, just like saying like obviously it's Shane Simpson, University Virginia, Towson University running back, kick return, punt returner. I sent them my email that I got from the Washington invite, and I was just saying like I'm a free agent now. I'm back in the States. I was looking to see if I can get in front of you guys again at either Arizona or Texas. Please just let me know, and so I can get the travel arrangements around because obviously I'm not from Texas or Arizona, and I would definitely have to fly. So I just wanted to get that out the way real quick, and then thankfully he hit me back really fast. I wasn't really expecting the answer right away, but he hit me back really fast and just said, "Thank you, appreciate it so much." But it's the showcase is full. Even though you had the invite already, you're going to be scouted and viewed, all that stuff, even if you don't go to the showcases at all. So I'm like, all right. Also, I don't got to go to the showcase. I'm like, all right, sounds good. But my biggest thing with that, I definitely want to get to a showcase just to be around all the coaches, build that relationship, connect with everybody, and then they can just get to see me, one as a player, how I move and stuff like that, but also how I interact. So that was probably my biggest thing that I wanted to get out of going to the showcase. But I was thankful to walk away with a draft invite, and then obviously with private workouts coming up as well.
I was going to mention, so if I recall, it was around July 19th when you posted that you had received your XFL draft invite. Mm-hmm. So I'm assuming you had accepted it, right? I mean, that would be an obvious thing. What was that moment for you receiving that invitation despite not going to a showcase, right? Russ, was it Russ Brandon?
Yes.
Sent you the email. But did you feel like it would come that quick? Because there's some people that had to wait a while. I mean, July 19th, that was pretty early.
Yeah. Like I said, it was like you just said, it was pretty early. I wasn't expecting it that fast, I would say. I just knew that I wanted to go out to at least a showcase just for the fact that I missed the one in DC and I wanted to be around the coaches and so they can put a name to a face if they didn't already know me. And I just wanted to build that relationship with them. But I was able to receive that, and I'm thankful, and I'm just ready to rock.
You mentioned the private workouts. Have you had any conversations with any of the coaching staffs about potentially participating in one?
Yes, I actually have one this weekend in DC. What's it called? With the Defenders. So that'll be my first one. So I'm just ready to go. I don't know what the private workout is going to entail. That 40 L drill, the broad jumps, 1-on-ones, running back cuts and stuff, catching out the backfield, special teams maybe. I really don't know. I've been just training since I've been back in the States. So I'm be really well prepared for whatever's thrown my way. Now I'm ready to go.
Oh, awesome. Now we're going to step away from the playing aspect. I understand you are a member of the Towson University football coaching staff as the quality control coach on the offensive side.
Yes, sir.
What does that mean to you, returning to the program and helping younger players?
Oh, it's amazing. Just because, and it's also a crazy feeling just because I literally played with some of the guys still on the team. Probably the oldest guy on the team, I played with him for 3 years. Some guys I played for 2, and then just maybe a handful for 1. And then just like seeing them at practice when I first arrived here, because I probably only told like 2 guys that I was coming back, the coach, and like they just saw me like, look, what you doing here? I'm like, you'll find out once we go to the team meeting. And then we have to do all the new coaches have to do their introduction and stuff. And then, that was pretty much it. So I'm with the running backs and the returners. So like just giving back the knowledge that I had in college and even now as a pro, I know the guys are taking it by stride. Like it's like amazing feeling when you're teaching somebody and they apply it to the field. So the stuff myself and the running back Coach Foreman been teaching them. They're implementing to the games and practice. So it's definitely a great feeling for myself just to give back, though.
It's pretty cool to be welcomed back to where essentially it started. I mean, is the coaching staff pretty all the same? I mean, for the most part, head coach and whatnot?
Yeah, for the most part, yes. Coach Ambrose has been there for forever. So me and him have a really good relationship. That's like a second dad to me, really. So I'm real appreciative that he allowed me to come back, and then just the whole staff in itself. It's a really good staff, so I enjoy being back.
Well, I was going to say that speaks volumes to the person that you are and the relationships that you built while you were there, that they were lasting. You know, some players are just more focused, whatever, just let me get me. But I mean, obviously you did everything the right way, team oriented and whatnot, because not everyone gets offered that opportunity. So that speaks volumes to who you are and what you bring to the table.
Appreciate that.
Oh, you're welcome. I mean, obviously, it doesn't matter what I say. That's what it means, right? I mean, that's the ultimate compliment is by offering you that opportunity and bringing you back. So that's really awesome. Are you represented currently by an agency?
Yes, I'm represented by First Round Management with Drew Rigsby and Joe Vaccaro.
So how have they helped you in this whole process of pursuing your goals?
Oh, they've been doing a really good job. They're actually my second agency. I fired my first one right before the USFL stuff started. So obviously I got the invite for the USFL, but I knew it would be a little harder with me with no representation at that time, especially when the draft was going on. So that played a huge role in that. But once I signed with them, they've been on it. They know I'm a hard worker. I'm not really any guy to BS around or anything like that. I know I'm gonna put the work in. I just want to make sure it's being transferred to the other side. So whatever we got to do, if I got to go to Seattle, I got to go to Hawaii, wherever, doesn't matter. I'll be there. Just let me know the date, time. We will find a way to get there. So they know I'm not a guy to BS around, especially when it comes to football or anything like that. So I love the management. We're real close. We talk pretty much not every week, every 2 weeks, just to check in, make sure everything's good. So I'm glad I'm with this agency now.
So I've had an XFL executive on the show before. I'm not saying they listen, but they know the show exists, right? So
Yeah.
I typically provide an opportunity to each of my guests, if coaching staff members or key league executives were to tune into this particular episode, what is there about you, the one thing that is really unknown, but very important to who you are and what you bring to the table, that they should know so that they can select you over another player?
That's a really good question. I would just probably say the biggest thing with me that you're going to get in a player, well, you're going to get a versatile player. I can play running back. I can run the ball. I can catch out the backfield. I can block, which is a big thing in this game. And I can also add value to the kick return aspect, well, special teams in general, from kick return aspect, punt return, even if it's running down on kickoff, punt, gunner, just anything to get on the field to help the team. That's the type of guy that I am. I love this game, and I just want to do this as long as I can. I just want the opportunity to play in this great league. And also, with me being a captain in college 2 times, that you're going to get a guy that's going to be always on time. He's going to do what he has to do and help others.
Shane, it has been a pleasure, and I appreciate you taking the time to come on the show and talk with me about your football experience, XFL Draft Invitation, and even the workout that's upcoming. I hope you do get selected in the XFL Draft, but more importantly, make the team roster and make it on the field in 2023. If so, I'd love to have you come back so we can discuss how the season's going for you or had gone for you and how your team had done.
Yes, definitely. I appreciate you for having me on today, allowing me to tell my journey and my story. Like you said, I hope to get drafted as well. That's up to the executives and coaches and stuff like that. Just know you're going to get a baller, and we shall see.
Right. Before you go, if some of our listeners wanted to follow you and your journey, how could they do so?
Yeah, so if you want to follow my journey, I'm on Twitter, Shane Simpson _18. Then I'm on Instagram a lot. Then my tag is Shane Simpson _31.
Perfect. Thank you, Shane.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Although Shane is a Division I product who at one point played for a Power 5 school, I felt that his backstory provides a different perspective from the players we have previously shared. The fact that he's giving back to other aspiring football players as a member of the Townsend staff while still pursuing his dream is something worth taking the time to learn and share with others. Unfortunately, we do not have any fan line messages this week. If you have a comment, question, or hot take and would like it to be heard on the show, reach out to the fan line by calling 863-TALK-XFL or 863-825-5935. Doing so, your message could be included in an upcoming episode. All good things must come to an end. This concludes another episode of Player 54 Podcast. As always, I am interested in receiving your feedback. So do not be a stranger. Reach out to let me know your thoughts, and if you do so, your comments might just make it on the show. But before you go, do not forget to subscribe and rate the show on your platform of choice. One last thing. If you're interested in checking out our friends over at Royal Retros by 503 Sports, do not forget to click on the link in the show's description and notes, as well as that sweet code, LETSTALKXFL, for 10% off your purchase. Thank you for tuning in. Till next time, cheers.
Thank you for tuning into today's show. Don't forget to subscribe and rate Player 54 Podcast on your platform of choice. You can follow the show on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Player 54 Podcast. Do you have a question or topic you would like to have addressed on the show? Message the show via social media or send an email to player54podcast@gmail.com.